Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. I'm going to keep tonight's live stream quite short. Welcome. If you're new to the group, we are Student Loan Justice. We are the oldest, largest, and in many ways, in fact, in all the important ways, the only true grassroots group of significant size fighting only, absolutely, and actually for student loan justice. Not pretend student loan justice, not Joe Biden, $10,000 student loan justice, not bullshit, guys. We're fighting for actual student loan justice. That means two things. Number one, the return of bankruptcy rights to all student loans, federal and private. Number two, that means the cancellation of not some, but all federally owned loans by executive order. That concept started with this group, and we should be patting ourselves on the back and kissing and crying and clinking the champagne about Joe Biden's announced student loan cancellation, or not. Joe Biden's student loan cancellation is lame, and whichever way the Supreme Court rules on that thing, it really doesn't even matter to the vast majority of people on our group. Because if you owe $10,000 or $20,000 or less on your student loans, you're probably not in our group. Like, I know it's pretty significant to some people, and I get that. But, ladies and gentlemen, we've got bigger fish to fry. This entire lending scam, and it is a scam, is finished. And I would be happy to back up that claim should any of you want to press me on that point going forward. Speaking of which, if you have any questions or comments, and if I can see them on Facebook or Twitter, then throw them out. And I am more than happy to read them aloud on air. If you are a hater watching this, then even better, throw out your criticisms and objections. And let's get down to the brass tacks on this, shall we? Most honest haters that attack us come away usually apologizing to us and wishing us luck. Of course, there's the other class of haters, which literally are making money off of this scam. And that includes people from both the left and the right. We're a fiercely nonpartisan group, by the way. We, at this point, we pretty much hate the Republicans and the Democrats in different ways, but that is true. But whatever your situation may be, if you have student loans, you're watching me now, you're very welcome on this group, and we're glad that you're here. So a couple of announcements. We're looking for someone to interview in and around the Washington, D.C. area. This is for an international news agency you may or may not have heard of. It's the largest news network in a particular European country. That has lots of mountains in it. I don't know why I'm being coy about that. It's no secret, but whatever. If you want to be interviewed and you live in the Washington, D.C. area, then let me know, and I'm happy to make the introductions. One other thing, thanks to Donald, Carter, and several other people, Barbara, Casey, and Donald, as I said, Donald B, actually, for their recent donations. We barely made our fundraising goal for last week today, so it's a little tiny bit late, but that's okay. This coming week, we need to raise around $400 just to keep the lights on and stuff like that, pay for our email expense and stuff. So that would be, I think, 40. If 40 people were to donate $10, or if 20 people were to donate $20, ASAP, please, then I can shut up about fundraising for the week. And wouldn't that be nice? I hate fundraising. I suck at it. I suck at fundraising worse than I suck at the piano, if that's any comparison. So anyways, I'm looking for your comments right now. I was hoping to have sort of an open forum tonight, just whatever happens to be on your mind. I know the news of the day is all about the Supreme Court and Joe Biden's $10,000 loan cancellation, and that's all good and well. Let me say, okay, I see we have a few comments here already. Let me have a look. And shut myself up. So Christina from Arizona is with us tonight. Hey, Christina. Oh, by the way, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I know it was yesterday, but it bears repeating. So Christina says, been tweeting all day long, wore the shirt out all day. Oh, yeah. Speaking of shirts, check this out. Isn't this awesome? Thanks to Lisa Ansel in Los Angeles for making this shirt happen, by the way. Oh, thanks to Lisa for this awesome shirt, too. It's a distressed student loan justice hat. It's purposely frayed. That's actually like that for a reason. Cool stuff. So yeah. And what Christina's talking about is our daily actions. So we do daily actions on this group nearly every day, and you can see them right there. So you can go to bit.ly/daily action, or you can go to our website, studentloanjustice.org, and you can see the daily action. And I usually lag on posting to the website a little bit. It's usually like a week behind, or maybe half a week behind. Right now, I think it's about a half a week behind, but that's okay. If you've never done a daily action, I strongly recommend you do around 2 weeks or maybe even a month's worth, depending on how ambitious you are. It would help tremendously. You've got to have a Twitter account. Sorry about that, guys. We do Twitter stuff. I hate Twitter. You hate Twitter. Everybody hates Twitter, but Twitter actually works, and it's a good way, especially. I mean, we've got 1.4 million people in our group, guys. Can you imagine if 1.4 million people were retweeting our stuff? That would make national news. I kid you not. Like Tucker Carlson last week, I think he only got like not even 500,000 retweets or something like that. You have no idea how strong we should be, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, doing our daily actions is really the first thing, and what I would ask everybody to do, no matter what. It's kind of the minimum, really. And they usually take less than 5 seconds per thing. It's like retweet this and this and this. Like today, that was the action. Retweet this, retweet this, retweet this, and join your state chapter. That's another thing that you can easily do at our website. We are looking for state chapter leaders, by the way. We've got leaders for around 31 of the 50 states. So we still need around 19 people to step up and lead their states. But we can do co-leaders too. And if you're passionate about this, the country actually needs you to help. Our state chapters are just now getting big enough that we can really start making some noise and doing some damage at the state level. And that's just so very important, guys. There's so many states out there that are they're like deserts. They're like media deserts where the people of those states have no clue, no idea how badly their state is being hurt. States where student loan debt exceeds the entire state budget. That's like over a third of U.S. states. Places like Georgia, like North and South Carolina, like Florida, like Texas, like the entire South, really. But places like, Maryland, Virginia, South Dakota, New Hampshire, Colorado, Nevada. It's not the states that you would think, by the way. It's not like these liberal bastion states like, Massachusetts or California. No. It's generally red states, like the ones I mentioned and many others. So join your state chapter and think about leading it, because as tacky as it may sound, your country actually needs you on this. So that's great to hear, Christine. Hey, Jackie Abron is with us, who I happen to know has been a force of nature, both on Twitter and also in various newspapers in and around Texas, like both national and in Texas. So that's another thing that I want to point out that Jackie can speak to very well. We're asking everyone, including you, especially you, to get a letter to the editor of your local newspaper published where you call for either the return of bankruptcy rights to student loans. That's the number one thing, believe it or not. That's way more important than cancellation right now. We will only see meaningful student loan cancellation when we get the leverage of bankruptcy returned. Nobody wants to file for bankruptcy, least of all you, least of all me. But that is a necessary precondition for getting meaningful student loan cancellation. until we have bankruptcy rights back, we're going to be begging Joe Biden or the next president forever for actual student loan cancellation. And what we'll get, as long as that leverage is gone from us, is what we've already seen. We're not into that, guys. We're into actually solving this problem. And if you agree, then get a letter to the editor of your local newspaper published, like Jackie has done in, I think around 15 newspapers at this point. From the Waco Journal to the Waxahachie Press to the Apalachicola Times, or I can't remember them all. Texas got some really strange, really weird named places in Texas. But I'm not sure if you got published in the Nacogdoches Journal or not. Maybe you did. I'm kidding, but seriously, guys, these letters to the editor really, really, really work well. And I think as a group, we've gotten around 25 or maybe 30 published at this point. But we need more. I mean, there's probably 5,000 newspapers in the country, I'm guessing. And there's no reason why you can't get a letter to the editor of your local newspaper done. Ask anybody on this group if you need any pointers on that. Jackie or me or anybody would be very happy to look over a first draft. Nicholas in Utah has been really prolific as well. He's got at least a couple done. I've gotten many dozens done over the years, but I think just in the past few months, I've gotten like 2 done. Although there was one in Ohio and Akron that I was supposed to get done, but I don't know. I never saw it, so I'm not sure if they ever did that. But anyways, good for you, Jackie. We appreciate all that you do down there, and I hope to get to Texas soon, by the way. Texas is a very important state, by the way, if you happen to live in Texas. The people of Texas owe $141 billion in student loan debt. Like interest alone on the student loan debt hanging around the necks of people in Texas is like around $8 billion per year that leaves the state of Texas and goes to the books of the Department of Education by and large. Nothing conservative about that. There's nothing that any Republican should be cheering about on that. As I said, we're a fiercely nonpartisan group, guys, but on the cancellation issue, it's become a clearly partisan issue with the Republicans flat out against us. The Democrats say they're for us, but guys, don't think that the Democrats are the good guys on this. We've been doing this for 18 years, and I can tell you that the Democrats, they showed their true colors last year. The DNC had it in their party platform to return bankruptcy protections to student loans, which lies at the core of this problem. And the Democrats they chose to betray us last session. They had the House, they had the Senate, they had the presidency, they had a great bipartisan bill that would have passed with flying colors if they would have brought it up for a vote, and they chose not to. They screwed us. So you've got to be a little smarter than the way this country has been trained. The whole partisan D versus R, left versus right, liberal versus conservative, that's all bullshit, guys. That's all a ruse by probably the ruling class or the elites or maybe the globalists. I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy guy, but that's all just a complete whitewash to keep the citizens fighting amongst themselves. That's what I look at it as almost like a class war. In fact, I call it a class war. The rich people in this country want no changes to the current state of things. So the more they can have people fighting and feuding over cultural issues, and student loan cancellation seems to have been pigeonholed into that stupid partisan nonsense. That doesn't help us. And it keeps the money going. It keeps the federal student loan program screaming along, ruining 85% of everybody who has federal student loans. That's true. I don't want to spit too many facts at you tonight, guys, but it's true that 85% of all federal student loan borrowers were never going to be able to repay their loans even before the pandemic. 85%. And 60% had stopped paying. 60% of all federal borrowers were not making payments on their loans before COVID hit. So this lending system is finished, guys. But for the bad politics and the bad mainstream media in this country, these loans would have been canceled years or decades ago. This entire lending system would have been canceled probably a decade or so ago. Jackie Abrams says, been tweeting too. Bunch of dummies out today. Shake my head. Yeah, I know. I woke up at 2:30 in the morning tonight, last night. And I was fighting with people on Twitter as early as I think 3 or 3:30 a.m. today. So the early bird gets the worm, I guess. I don't know what that means, but yeah, there's some real idiot people on Twitter, but they're very easy to shut down, and we're so good at it at this point. I've got to the point where I can make somebody look really foolish in probably no more than about 3 or 4 tweets. And after 3 or 4 tweets, you got them, and it's time to mute them. So some nice, impactful parting shots. And I post all of our articles all over all of my stuff. So no matter what those assholes say, people who see those conversations can't help but look at the truth of this matter. One thing I like to say is hear it from Tucker. And I say bit.ly/hear it from Tucker, all lowercase. And that goes to an interview that Tucker Carlson had with the Trump appointee who ran the federal student loan program. And they both generally agreed that bankruptcy must be returned to the loans. And the Trump guy was even calling for widespread student loan cancellation. And Tucker was agreeing with him. Tucker was saying, hey, if you don't want the colleges to wreck this country, if you don't want socialism, you need to be on this guy's side. So, yeah, shove that in their face, and that usually shuts them up. bit.ly/hear it from Tucker. Check it out for yourself. There's another really good article from Donald Trump in 2015, just before he announced his run for president, where Donald Trump is basically agreeing with us. He's saying, why is the government making a profit on student loans? Of all the places the government shouldn't look to as being a profit center, you would think student loans would totally be off that list. That's crazy. Donald Trump said that before in 2015, shortly before he ran for president. He was a disaster as president. I'm not even going to try and defend the guy, but he said something right on this once. And you can see the article at The Hill. I don't have a bit.ly link for you, but if you Google why is the government profiting from student loans, Donald Trump and The Hill, you can see the article for yourself. So Christina says, spent all day Twitter stalking Cardona to shut our student loan system down too. Extra tweeting. Miguel Cardona is such a tool. I don't know that it's even worthwhile to say anything to that guy. I mean, that guy has zero student loan experience. He's almost like Betsy DeVos almost, although Betsy DeVos is, I think, way more evil than Cardona. But Miguel Cardona had nothing at all, absolutely no experience with student loans. He's a fairly young guy, I believe. I don't think he's more than about 45 years old. I could be wrong. But the guy is just a stuffed shirt. He was appointed because the student loan swamp liked him, and he would do what they said and stuff like that. So the people that I like to hit at the Department of Education are the smart people who know a lot about student loans and are in key positions. So that would be people like James Cavall, who actually is, I wouldn't say he's a friend of mine, but I've known him for 15 or maybe even 20 years now at this point. No, not 20. I've known him for about 10 or 15 years. Since way back in the day, back in the Obama days, back in 2009 or something like that. Pretty good guy. Although he's been, like everybody at the Department of Education, a huge disappointment in his role as Undersecretary of Education. Another guy, smart guy, good guy, ambitious guy, very famous guy, Richard Cordray, nearly was governor of Ohio, 5-time Jeopardy champion, whatever that means. He was the chief. He is currently the chief operating officer of the Federal Student Aid Office. So James is Richard Cordray's boss, but Richard's got a really high profile. And I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of looking at people like Richard if he wants to have any kind of a career going forward. If he doesn't want the student loan beast to be the downfall of his career, he's the guy that we really need to hit, you know? In my humble opinion, forward this to him if you want. You can find him on Twitter. But, you know, people like Cordray, we really expected more from a guy like him, a rising star politically. He was the first director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB. You know, he's a rising star in the Democratic Party. And if I was Richard Cordray and I had political ambitions, like to be whatever, governor, president, something higher than where he is now, you know, I would resign. I would resign my position at the Department of Education. I would blow the whistle. I'd say, ladies and gentlemen, this can't continue. That's the kind of courage that has been missing from politics generally, in my humble opinion, but certainly from the student loan issue. Like, when is somebody with a name and a face going to stand up and simply tell the truth about this catastrophically failed, nationally threatening loan scam? It should be a guy like Cordray. And unless he wants his career to be terminally damaged hereafter, he'd better bust a move, because there's a lot of people whose lives are being hurt, and he could help a lot of people. You know, if I was Richard Cordray, I wouldn't want to be the guy 7 years ago, or 7 years from now, or 5 years, or even 2 years from now, you know, doing these retrospective interviews saying, oh, well, when I was in office, I found this and that, and write a tell-all book. That's bullshit. He is in office right now. He can actually make a difference right now, like a big difference, either by doing something radical or by resigning very publicly and telling all right then. None of this serve out your term and then write a memoir about it 2 years from now when you're completely powerless. Fuck that. We've seen enough of that. That's ridiculous. Richard Cordray could do something meaningful right now, and he could save the country, and he would be the hero of 45.4 million distressed student loan borrowers. People don't realize there's around 55 million student loan borrowers and cosigners across the country when you include federal loans and private student loans. 85% of these people, and that's according to Richard Cordray's predecessor, Wayne Johnson, 85% of certainly the federal student loan borrowers, and I kind of assume it's probably similar for the private loan people, 85% of those people were never going to be able to repay their loans. I think it's probably a little lower for private loans, but 85% of 55 million people is 45.4 million people, if I did my math right. 45 million people who are losing sleep over their student loans and who vote and who span the political spectrum. It's about a 50-50 split, by the way, between Republicans and independents, those two, and Democrats. That's nearly enough people to elect a president outright. We need a hero in Washington, and you know, it could be a guy like Cordray, but he's got to grow a pair, find his spine, be willing to tell the truth, and simply do what's right. I mean, that shouldn't be too much to ask, should it? Christina Abron agrees. Seriously, it's been daily stupid comments too. Yeah, I know, the Twitter people. Jackie says, I think they have me blocked on any more letters to the editor right now. Yeah, you may have been you may have set off the alarms in north central Texas, Jackie. You don't know how those newspapers talk to each other, but hey, I say good on you. You tore it up, and you've got a very serious body of work to point to now. And so, you know, if we could do that in all the states, we could damn near solve this problem. I mean, if letters to the editor in every single newspaper across the country all of a sudden just boiled over with our people's letters calling for bankruptcy return, calling for student loan cancellation, that would have a tremendous effect. That could even solve this problem. So have you gotten your letter to the editor published yet? I'm fucking serious about that. You can't sit there and watch Jackie and Christina and Gordon and Lisa fight your battle for you. They cannot fight your battle for you. These are your loans, and this is your problem. I'm not fucking around when I tell you that you need to do these things. This is not a wait and watch and worry group here. We're not a fake group like many other groups I could mention, claiming to be fighting for student loan borrowers. This is a working, fighting group. If you want to be in this group, you got to get your knuckles a little muddy and a little bloody like Jackie and Lisa and Gordon and many more people that I could mention. Ed, our fearless co-leader, Aaron Root, many other people. But yeah, if you have no intentions of actually fighting this fight with us, actually stepping up and helping us fight, then frankly, I wish you would leave because you're bad karma. We don't need cynical, lazy people on this group. Cynical, lazy people have never accomplished anything ever, and we don't need that energy on our group. If you want to help us fight, well, that's a very different proposition. If you want to fight, you're very welcome on this group, and we're glad that you're here. And I think all of the thousands of fighters, people who are actually fighting on this group, will embrace you with open arms, help you in any way they can. And frankly, I think they would tell you that it feels really good to fight this fight. You know, all we do is tell the truth. The founding fathers are on our side. 45.4 million people in the country would be on our side if they knew about us. We don't have a marketing department, by the way. All we have are people. We don't have a budget. We don't have any of those things. We don't have a legal team, marketing team, a press team, PR team, any of those things. All we have are normal, living, breathing human beings. You being potentially one of them. So it feels good to fight this fight. And so Jackie says Baytown, Waco, Waxahachie, Dallas, etc., etc. Oh yeah, I got a letter posted as well at the Madison newspaper, whatever that's called, the Wisconsin State Journal. Thanks for mentioning that, Gordon. And by the way, getting on C-SPAN is also something we're asking all of our people to do. You know, you can call on C-SPAN every day of the week, including Sunday, from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern time. I know it's a little early on the West Coast. You can call in once a month. And no matter what topic they're asking about, you can make it about student loans if you really want to. Like the issue could be gun control, and you could say, hey, you know, people with student loans are financially unstable. And, you know, there's a family in Oklahoma that was killed by guns. And the reason was because the family had tried to discharge their student loans in bankruptcy, and they were denied. And so they got all of the shame of a bankruptcy. They got none of the relief. And the guns came out, and we saw the most horrific family tragedy that I personally have seen in the past 10 or 15 years, maybe even more. Family of 8, 2 parents, 6 children. They all perished. And I'm not going to discuss that story much further. You can find it for yourself. Look for Broken Arrow, family, suicide, student loans, bankruptcy, and you can find it. Oh yeah, good point. Toby Merrill also. She doesn't have nearly as high of a profile in the Department of Education as, say, Richard Cordray or James Cavall, but she's pretty good. You know, she runs with the Harvard people, which sorry, Lisa. No offense. Lisa's a Harvard person. We've seen some pretty snaky things come from the Harvard people on the student loan issue. Nothing to do with Lisa. Everything to do with like the National Consumer Law Center and stuff like that. But Toby Merrill, you know, she should be good. I haven't heard her say or do anything. And it seems like there's good Harvard people and bad Harvard people, doesn't it? It's like who's the former president of Harvard? Larry Summers. That guy is just such a douchebag. But whatever. I digress. So Lisa says, I doubt Cardona even reads the responses to his tweets, let alone writes them. Yeah, I kind of doubt. I would think that his tweets have to go through legal before they let him out. I really think that he's kind of a sock puppet. Certainly on the student loan issue. He may know something about K through 12. I don't know. Apparently he does, but you're a good point. Yeah, we haven't heard anything from Toby Merrill. Lisa says Cordray can't do anything with the corporate Democrats, including Biden pushing to keep the swamp status quo. Yeah, Cordray can't really. I know they're all constrained by the swamp, by permanent Washington, by the unelected bureaucrats. But hey, Cordray is his own man. He made his own name, and he supposedly can think for himself. And if Cordray is politically ambitious, and if he's smart, and I think he is both of those things, then he will see the writing on the wall, and he will flee the reservation and start telling the truth. That takes courage, and that's called actual leadership. And that's what America is looking for, certainly from the Democrats, because, oh, God. Joe Biden is literally the worst guy in the world on the student loan issue. Joe Biden deserves more credit than any other living, serving politician in the United States of America for the student loan problem. He is exactly the guy that we did not want in office. And, Richard Cordray is a relatively young guy. I don't know. I think he's like 61 or something like that. He hails from the state of Ohio, where student loan debt greatly exceeds the entire state budget by like $10 billion. I'm just saying, if Richard Cordray's political instincts are healthy, then he would do what I said, and he would start raising Cain. Lisa also says the opposition to bankruptcy can be felt on both sides. I was going back and forth all day with the pseudo-intellectual who's doing a horrible job simping for the new bankruptcy process. Yeah, I mentioned that guy last night, Mark Bruckner, I believe. He's a smart guy. He's a PhD. He's a college professor at, I want to say he teaches at like George Washington or something. A fairly hoity-toity university, but the guy is just a joke. He's running interference for the federal student loan program. He's spewing propaganda, trying to defend the new bankruptcy process that the Biden administration rolled out last year. It's a total joke, and I vented and ranted about this. What was it, last night or the night before? I think it was last night. But yeah, guys, both sides of the aisle are against us. Don't think for a minute that the Democrats wear the white hat and the Republicans wear the black hat. Both parties suck. It's kind of a good cop, bad cop thing. Like which is worse, the guy who tells you to your face that he hates you, or the guy that says he's your friend, but then when push comes to the shove, all of a sudden he's nowhere to be found and he abandoned you? Like, which is worse? I don't know. Lisa says, Alan, love the head to toe SLJs. I know, right? I am totally decked out tonight, thanks to Lisa Ansel in Los Angeles. I think that's right. Yeah, she made these shirts happen. She made this hat happen. She made that hat happen. Here's another hat. Here's another distressed student loan justice hat. Thank you, Lisa. We tried selling these for a while. It turned out pretty hard to do, but these are collector's items. These things may have historical value at some point. And I say that with my tongue in my cheek, but this group actually is way more historically important than you might imagine. We're the first group ever to call attention to the student loan problem. First book ever written criticizing the student loan program we wrote. Oh, look at that right here. This is the very first book ever to be written criticizing the student loan program. This group originated the idea of student loan cancellation by executive order, way before anybody was talking about student loan cancellation by executive order. None of the bankruptcy legislation that we've seen going back to Hillary Clinton's Student Borrower Bill of Rights Act in 2007 or 2007, none of those bills would have happened but for this group and the people on this group. So this group is a little more important than you might think. I know we don't seem like it, but looking around, we seem kind of ragtag, but you'd be surprised how important this group actually is. Gordon says, or say this, bankruptcy is the economic Second Amendment, a means of self-defense. Yeah, I don't like to conflate gun and other social issues or cultural issues, whatever you want to call it. I don't like to talk about other issues other than student loans, but hey, you do you, man. Bankruptcy is important. The founding fathers called for uniform bankruptcy laws, aka rights, in the Constitution, ahead of the Second Amendment, by the way, ahead of the entire Bill of Rights, in the body of the Constitution itself. The founding fathers called for uniform bankruptcy laws. They called for it ahead of the power to raise an army, ahead of the power to declare war, ahead of the freedom of speech and the Second Amendment and the Fourth Amendment and all the amendments. Like, that's how important the founding fathers knew that bankruptcy was for having a free country. And that's been taken off the table exclusively, uniquely from student loans. So if you have any doubt about the significance and the importance of this group, just look at the Constitution. And by the way, the foundings are on our side. So quite frankly, I think the founders are looking down at us and saying, how did our citizens get so weak? How could they allow this cheesy rat trap of a lending scam to be foisted on them? I don't know. You probably wouldn't use those exact words, but I think the founding fathers are looking down and they're just going, what? Those are our descendants? Why are they so pliable and meek and afraid of this federal government that we set up to be weak? We set this federal government up to serve the people. And we gave them all these guards against tyranny. How could they let themselves be bamboozled? I think that's what the founding fathers would be saying when they took a look at this student loan scam. And it is a scam. It's completely unconstitutional. Okay, guys, I'm sorry if I wasn't able to get all of your comments in today. That happens sometimes, but I want to keep it short. I've already gone 40 minutes, so I hope you all are pleased with all the progress that we're making. I hope that you all, especially those of you who have not been doing much, that you will make a commitment to yourself, to this group, and to 45.4 million other people in the country who, if they knew about us, would be on our side. Spread the word about this group. As I said, we're the only group fighting this fight, guys. The other groups are out to lunch. And quite frankly, some of the other groups are straight up corrupted. And if any other group was actually fighting this fight as it needed to be fought, I would throw this banner behind me away and I would join that group. But that group is us. That's it. So don't be hypnotized. Don't be misled. Don't be stultified. Is that the right word? Don't be discouraged into a state of inaction by all the noise out there. 99% of everything out there on student loans is complete noise. The bad guys want you sitting on your ass, waiting, watching, worrying, wondering what's going to happen, and doing nothing. That's what the bad guys want. And that includes some people calling themselves student advocates, guys. A lot of bullshit out there. So stick with us. We tell the truth. We know the truth. That's all we've ever done. That's all we will ever do. We don't make money in secret, sneaky ways. You heard my pitch for donations at the top of this. That's the only way that we get funding. We don't have any secret handshakes. We don't have any hidden agendas. None of that bullshit. So you came to the right place, and we're glad you're here. But if you are going to be here, you need to help me and Lisa and Gordon and Jackie and Christina and everyone else on this group. You need to help us fight. So, and Joanna Kearns in Florida, who does our daily actions every single day, and so many other people who have been helping us with C-SPAN in the mornings. But I hope you're picking up what I'm laying down, because this is very serious. This is truly your battle. And this is a far bigger battle than just us, guys. If they can do to other loans what they did to student loans, they will. And we will be a trapped and conquered nation when that happens. So there's a lot riding on this fight, and it goes way beyond you or me, or even way beyond student loans. So take heart. Good luck doing our daily actions, doing all that stuff I said over the past 42 minutes. I'll be back tomorrow. Fight. Good luck. Godspeed. God bless everyone.